Hi everybody. Today I'd like to discuss about a question that many Christians have in their mind. How can I be a disciple if I cannot find someone to disciple me? Somehow this has been a very popular excuse that people use to not become a disciple because they just couldn't find anybody to disciple them. Now to answer this question, first of all, I'd like to say that there are specific things that a believer can do. First of all, it is to take a faith test. That is, to examine your spiritual life and compare the amount of time you spend in spiritual matters with worldly matters. To do this, you like to calculate how much time you spend each week in prayer and in the Word, including listening to sermons, reading, studying, memorizing, and meditating on the Scripture. Also determine how much time you spend each week in fellowship with the brethren, that is your other Christian friends, attending worship services, and prayer and Bible meetings. Also calculate how much time you spend each week helping others. This includes the safe and the unsafe, and in sharing the gospel with the lost. Now add up all the time you spend each week in spiritual matters. Once you've done that, let's calculate how much time you spend each week in worldly matters. Determine how much time you spend each week watching TV and movies, reading secular books and magazines, in hobbies and recreation, attending sporting events, socializing with the unsafe in person or by phone and texting, shopping for non-essentials, and any other worldly activity. Once you've done that, calculate the total time you spend each week in spiritual matters and in worldly matters. How do you do so far? A disciple will spend more time in spiritual matters. Now that is the first one, that is taking the faith test. The second thing a disciple will do is set up a spiritual fitness program. That's right, you need a spiritual fitness program as well. And to help you with that, I'd like to introduce these 7 things that you can do in order to keep yourself fit spiritually. Number 1 is pray. Pray when you wake up and as you fall asleep. Also, pray throughout the day. Take small prayer breaks throughout the day and pray on the go. Prayer is so important as this is your primary way of communicating with God. Number 2 is listen. Listen to scripture whenever you can. Do it while you're at home. I find it very helpful to have these audio Bibles installed in my car and also on your daily walk. Simply just download all these audio Bibles, put it inside your MP3, and you can listen to it on the go wherever you are. Number 3 is read the scripture daily. Start your day by reading a chapter or 2 and also end your day reading a chapter or more. Also take Bible breaks throughout the day. It only takes 3 to 5 minutes to read a chapter. Several Bible breaks will enable you to read 10 chapters a day. And by no time, you can finish reading the entire Bible in less than a year. Number 4 is study scripture daily or a couple of times a week. Now, how is studying the scripture and reading the scripture different? Studying the scripture means you go into the topic in depth. By this, you would like to pick a book and study through it verse by verse. Write down what you learn and also how you can apply what you have learned to your life. You can also do topical studies, but as a general rule of thumb, do more book studies. The next one, or number 5, is memorize. Memorize scripture. Start by memorizing 1 verse a week. Write it out on a 3x5 card or a business size card, and then carry them with you, and whenever you get a chance throughout the day, work on memorizing it and reviewing it. If you just stick to 1 verse a week, you will have memorized 52 verses more than 99% of believers and probably more than 80% of pastors. The key to memorization is repetition. Recite each verse a dozen or more times each day. So that is another habit that is very important to develop, memorizing the scripture. Number 6, is to meditate. Meditate on scripture as often as possible. Whenever you have a few spare moments, pick a verse that you have memorized and meditate on it. Ask yourself what the message of the verse is, how it applies to your life, and examine what it tells you about God. And last but not least, worship God on a daily basis. You do not have to go to a church or to worship God. You can do that mostly anywhere. And alternatively, you can have family devotions where your family prays, reads the Bible, studies the scriptures, and sings praises. This is what I call the family altar. If you live alone, you can worship God anytime. You can sing praises to Him throughout the day. Sing hymns you know of and make up your own songs. It's okay. You can also find a good book on discipleship. You can check out the internet and Christian bookstores. There are plenty of discipleship books out there. So there you have it. There are the 7 tips that can help you to keep yourself spiritually fit.